Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Crazy Little Thing Called Thought. This is, as I say, episode 9. You are way more powerful than stress and anxiety. Now, allow me to explain why. So, we are human beings that live in a spiritual world. We just simply are. There is an intelligence out there making this life happen that we can't grasp with our own minds, with our own, our own creation of how we see life. We could think until the cows come home and think until we're blue in the face, but it's just what is going on, the intelligence that's going on in the background, just too vast that we will never get there with our own intellects. Now, having said that, that doesn't mean you can't realise that there's an intelligence out there that's making all this happen. An intelligence that changes leaves in the autumn, orange, and then back to green again in the spring and summertime. That brings night and day, that changes the weather, that brings the tides in and out. We never really see it that way because we're human beings we are human beings having a typical human experience. We're actually spiritual beings having a human experience, if that makes sense. We are spiritual beings. Human beings are spiritual beings which are part of that intelligence, which are part of that ocean, which are part of that tree turning different colours, which does change the skies from day to night and night to day. Now, again, having said all that, that takes me back onto the title of this audio record, right? You are more powerful than stress and anxiety, because stress and anxiety is your creation from this intelligence. You are thinking stressed and anxious thoughts, and you're thinking stressed and anxious thoughts. Well, you think you're thinking stressed and anxious thoughts because of what's going on in the outside world. When in fact, irrespective of what's going on in the outside world, you're just simply having a stress-induced experience. Now, when you realise that you are more powerful than that creation, that you are part of that intelligence, that part of this game that's going on that we can't see, then the power goes back to you, because you don't have to be at the mercy of that experience, because you are much bigger than that experience. And when you know that, any experience, any problem out there that's deemed stressful or seems to give off, or to you seems to give off an anxious aura, then when you tap into that intelligence that's always there, every moment of every day of your life, it's always there. That intelligence doesn't go anywhere. It's always with you, day and night. When you tap into that, you start to enjoy life more. You take life more gracefully. You look at bad experiences as, just a temporary thing that's not fixed, and you move on. If you understand that, when people don't understand, they have a bad experience, a stressful and anxious experience, and they hold on to it. They struggle to let it go. They think, I shouldn't be having this experience. Why am I having this experience? Is there something wrong with me? And no, there's nothing wrong with you. It's, that's perfectly normal to have an experience like that. And there's nothing wrong with having an experience like that. There's nothing wrong with having stress and anxiety as much as it is to have confidence and happiness. Because both are just a temporary illusion. We can create happiness for our thoughts, we can create stress for our thoughts, but deep down, in the very core, in essence and core of us, we are happiness and love by the default. So, I don't want to particularly ramble on this one, because I don't want it to lose its simple message that whatever we think, whatever we see, whatever we feel, isn't real. It just feels, we see what we see around us and think and feel. We think that's us. It's understandable we think that's us because that's what we buy into that experience all day, every day, what's going on in here to out there. But the real us is that powerful intelligence inside that does change the weather, that does change leaves, that does bring the tide in and out. That is us. But we don't see it as us. We think we're separate from all of that. Or we do know this, but we just seem to forget because of the mental play we play out in our mind. Here's the cool thing, when you realise this, the gaming here gets fun. Because you can play, and then that means you can play out here as well, when you understand what's going on in here. You are amazing, and you just don't know you are, because you're so married to your identity of yourself. I'm a stressful, anxious person. That's just me because of this, because of that. I didn't have a very good childhood. I had a bad experience at college, bad experience at university, and it just stayed with me for the rest of my life. You identify yourself with that experience and you just carry it through time, through memory. The bad experience, the stressful experiences you've been through don't exist anymore. And I can prove it because you're watching this video or you're listening to this audio recording, this podcast right now. Present, listening to me. That's what's going on right now. You're listening to me. Whatever happened in the past is done. It was never real. It was a temporary illusion. And the future hasn't happened yet. So if you're anxious about the future events that are coming up, then with this understanding, you don't need to worry about that because the future hasn't happened yet. You must agree with me that we do tend to worry and get anxious and stressed about future events that don't particularly play out as bad as we thought they were going to. Sometimes they can play out even better than we thought they were going to. And when you understand this, the worrying becomes a little bit of a waste of time because when you always know you can tap into that intelligence inside, and that's the place to get to as much as you possibly can, day in, day out, then worrying and being stressed and anxious does become a waste of time to sit in because it's not helpful to you. It doesn't give out common sense to you. It makes you make bad choices, whereas realising true power helps you make better choices, have better relationships with people, be a better wife, be a better dad, be a better mum, be a better teacher if you teach, be a better student at college. True understanding of who you really are is power. It's massive. And 99.9% of the population don't know that. And it's not their fault because this creation is so seductive, so compelling that we think it's real and we think that's us and our life. And it's as I've explained, it's not. You are much more powerful than that, than your stress and anxiety. As I say, I don't want to ramble on too much more. I just wanted to get the simple message across on this one that if you're stressed and anxious, then realising that's a creation, an internal creation that you're not at the mercy of, no matter how it looks, because that intelligence is with you by your side, that invisible intelligence. Like having an invisible friend. You know when kids have invisible friends? And you're like, oh, that's nice, Jimmy's got an invisible friend. Oh, how lovely. Well, that invisible friend is with each and every one of us. We just can't see it because of what we produce. But we can know. And that's massive. So knowing you have an invisible friend, knowing there's a power and an intelligence behind life that you can tap into, no matter what state of mind you're in, stress or anxiety, for instance. Knowing you can tap into that is huge, and you'll thrive knowing that. People can change just like that when knowing this. From very insecure, shy people to, someone else where it's like, whoa, where did that person come from? You should have to have the confidence and trust in this. And it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's there. That's all you've got to know. Take care. On to the next one. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.